Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. Today we are looking at The Warlord Issue 1 from DC Comics, 1976, 25-cent cover price. This is Volume 1, Issue 1. It begins with Travis Morgan sword fighting with his special lady friend Tara, and it recaps the origin story that we learned in first issue special number 8. It recaps how Morgan had to ditch his plane, bail out, and he comes across a dinosaur attacking Tara, whatever. But they were to be captured by soldiers and taken to the fabulous city of Thera. And it was there they met in the court of King Baldar, the evil Demos, the high priest. An assassination attempt ensued, and it forced Morgan and Tara to flee. Now they're screwing around. She's testing his swordsmanship and some general light flirting, but they're making their way back to her family's kingdom, whatever, in some city. I forget off the top of my head. And he gets to know her a little bit, and he keeps trying to explain to her that they're inside of a hollow earth and that there are millions of people living in cities on the other side, 800 miles away. And she thinks that's silly because everybody knows the sun giant Ashanti is holding the whole thing together. So they're making their way. They fight a T-Rex. Then they come across some slavers. And Morgan says, "Isn't there something we can do?" And she said, "Yeah, be thankful that we're not with them." So then they make their way to a cave where they spend the night. She shows him a primitive compass she's using, and he's pretty impressed with it. It's primitive, but it works as well as his. And they crash out for the night. He wakes up and she's wandering off to the sound of music, so he follows her, realizing that she wouldn't have left her sword. And he comes across a satyr using his flute and chant her and make her dance. So he knocks out the satyr and leads her back to the cave, which looks shaped like a lady's sex part. But there they're ambushed by the slave raiders who have shown up to take them hostage. And a really cool fight ensues. There's a great one-page spread on page 12 where Morgan and Tara are dispatching the slavers, but Morgan gets bonked on the head and Tara can't escape. So they're taken into custody and led through a desert where Morgan begins using his titanium steel alloy dog tags, because he is from our world after all, to slowly saw through the soft iron of her collar. Now, it comes to a head as they're crossing a bridge. He's slowly whittling away at this collar. He's almost got it when somebody notices that they're up to something. So he has to fight that guard, quickly snap her collar off, put her on her horse, and tell her to get going. She says she's not going to leave him. And he's like, "No, I'll hold him off." He whacks the horse with the blunt side of his sword, and she takes off on the horse, and he quickly dispatches a bunch of soldiers. Unfortunately, somebody comes up from behind him, manages to get a hold of the chain that's on his collar and yank it and then bonk him on the head. He wakes up and they're like, "Well, you're gonna have to die slow." He's like, "Stick it in your ear," which is a little dated, but you know. And the commander of the slavers is like, "How amusing, bravado, coming from a man in your position." And then it cuts to the next panel as the guy's laughing as he rides off, and we see Morgan tied to a tree. And then it says to be continued, and the next issue it will be on sale in December. Overall, great issue. Lots of action, lots of running around, plenty of stuff happening. It's never boring. It keeps going and going. There's always something happening. It doesn't slow down for a bunch of pointless conversations. They're not talking during fighting unless it's relevant to what's happening. There's no goofy side commentary or anything like that. It's just a straight up action adventure story, and it was a lot of fun. A great introductory story to really get you in the mood for what set it up, what's going on, who these people are. They're in a fantasy world where there's like magic and swordplay, and he's just a guy totally out of his element. I thought it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend The Warlord. This issue was fantastic. It's another winner. I believe this was also written and illustrated by Mike Grell and edited by Joe Orlando. And that was a good team for DC at this time. Unlike a lot of other DC books of this period, this was definitely one of the more action-oriented ones. Had a pretty consistent plot line. So we're going to go through every issue of Warlord, and I think we're off to a great start. I highly recommend picking this book up if you get a chance, especially if you're a sword and sorcery fan. I think you'll really dig this book. It's got a lot going for it, and it just doesn't let up. But that'll do it for this one. Thanks for listening as always, and we hope to have you on the next episode.